Perfect. I'm going to start us and I'm going to kick it to you. Just wanted to thank everyone and welcome you. Thanks for coming tonight. At least it's a little cloudy. It's not blue skies and sunny, so there's a little bit of rolling. We appreciate you being here and being part of the process. I think this is our 4th meeting. We've been now planning for 16 months. Basically, the day after the bond passed, we started meeting and planning. And what's exciting is, like, starting next week, things are going to start to go. It'll really start going in the summer, and Eileen and John will kind of walk you through where all of the projects are, but things are really starting to get fired up and get going. So it's exciting. I think in June, maybe we'll still be not quite there, but definitely when we meet again in September, you'll be able to see evidence of what's going on all over the district. So lots of exciting things kind of getting us started here. And with that, I think we're going to kick it over to you to get us started on the meeting.
Cool. We'll call the meeting to order at 5:32. My name's Andrew. Thanks everybody for last time. I had a family emergency in Vermont I had to go to. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting. Seconded. Awesome.
Can we do introductions real quick
Oh,
so
sure.
Jen can report who's here?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I'm Lucas Welliver.
I'm Andrew Knapp.
Blake Wandell.
Caleb Ivey.
Dave Parker, Superintendent.
Enrique Pena, Technology Department.
Ellen Flip Business.
Joe Abel, Cornerstone.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think we approved the minutes, so I'm going to kick it over to you.
Oh, there's a second. I think we need to vote on the motion to approve.
Oh, sorry.
If there's no discussion, you can call for a vote.
All right, I'd like to call for a vote to approve the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Any against? Thank you, lawyer.
We do have one on the app. Kate is on the aisle too, just so you know that she's there.
Good evening.
Kate, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Kate Grandusky and I'm on the school board. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. All right. Now. Yeah.
Thank you. No, roll it forward for slides.
Yeah.
What?
Hold on.
So just a reminder, as we start every meeting, just wanted to talk about what the goals are of this committee. So as you were looking at the data and going through the information, kind of have the lens on what the purpose of this is and what your role is in looking at all of the information and gathering it and kind of, so really it has 3 goals. Reviewing the bond promise, making sure that we are meeting that bond promise, our commitment to our community, making sure that we're on time, we're on schedule. We have 2 legal requirements for bond spending. The first one is 5% within 6 months. We met that one right away. And the other one is 85% of the bond within 3 years. And those are dates from when we sold the bond. So we split our bond into 2 bonds for the sale of the bond for the resources. And our first bond was $90 million, and that was March of last year. So when I'm talking about the 5% and the 85%, I'm looking at just that 90 million from March 24th of 2023. So looking at that, we are on target for the 5%. We already did that. And then based on what we have scheduled for this coming summer and next summer, we will well exceed our 90 million. We'll be selling our second bond for the final sale next spring. So we're on track for both of those. And then spending, just making sure that we're on budget. We are meeting all of those budget or bond promises, and we're staying within budget, within scope, and just, yeah. And then the last piece is looking at all of that and then reporting back to our school board and our community that you are looking at these things, you're, and that us as a district are meeting our requirements or our commitments. All right. The next slide. So right now we'll go into the actual expenditure reports. And this is the summary page of the first one where it has the resources at top, expenditures below. That report, this is the three things off of it that is probably the most important. Of our $128 million bond, we have a current projection of $139 million. The difference is the bond premium that we received from the first bond sale of 10.7 million, and then our awesome grant, and then any rebates or interest that we have gotten since then. So since December, we've only gotten a little bit of interest. There hasn't been a significant change in that. Today, we have $34.5 million expended and committed out of the bond funds. 3.6 million was spent last year, 8 million spent this year, and 22.9 million encumbered to date. These numbers increased, expended and committed since we met in February, increased by $15.5 million. And those are the contracts that we have signed. We've worked for certain things, gone to the board for several of them, and then signed contracts on these. So 15.5 million since December. This number you'll see go up in June, but then significantly go up in September once we've gotten all of the summer of 24 projects in. Remaining uncommitted at this time is 104 million. Uncommitted isn't truly uncommitted. It's not, we don't have contracts or we haven't spent the funds yet. They're really committed because we have a purpose for them. We know what we're doing with them, but that's just what we haven't gotten those contracts for. When we're looking at that summary report, the first couple of columns are the budget columns. The first one is the budget after the bond passed at 128 million. And then the second column is the budget for expenditures as it sits today, 139 million. And I just wanted to highlight some movement that we did since September, or since we met in December, so that you're aware of budget changes. And it's really up to, there's three things that happened, and you can see the ins and the outs here. One, we took $87,000 and moved it from the high school improvements budget to the roofing budget. Part of the high school improvements budget is to take the siding that's peeling off, the paint that's peeling off on the siding on the back of the high school and repaint it. Well, we combined that contract with the roofing contract, and so we're doing that together. So we took the budget and moved it to the roofing budget so that the expenditure will show in the same place as the budget. The other one is the movement of the seismic. As we go through, you'll see the seismic grants or the seismic budget was one lump of budget. And what we're doing is we're allocating that out to the remaining buildings. We've already done NAMS, we've already done Dilly, we've already done the high school, but this is taking the remaining 6 million and allocating it out to Echo Shaw and Harvey Clark for summer of 25 projects. And then the last line here is the bond sale cost, oversight, and contingency line, and that's an increase of $102,000, and that's just the interest we've received since December. So that automatically goes into our contingency budget for us to use for unanticipated costs. Wanted to highlight a few things. Oh, go ahead.
Was there cost savings by combining the roofing and the painting?
I mean, we could separate it on two separate lines of the PO, but the same contractor going on site, and the roofing it's peeling paint on the roofing and peeling paint on the siding, so it's the same work. So it doesn't make sense to have two separate contractors or two separate contracts for the work. So we're just doing it as one contract. I could itemize it onto two separate lines, but it's the same contract, the same project. So we're just moving the budget for the walls of the building to the roofing of the building. Does that help?
Yeah.
Any other questions before we go into individual projects? We'll go through each one of those budget line items for projects here in a second. I did want to highlight some of the things that we have going on. We'll talk more in detail here in a few minutes as we talk about each project. But as Dave said, we're really excited about having all of these things starting to come to light. There's been so much planning behind the scenes, and here in the next few weeks, we'll be able to start seeing a lot of construction and a lot of activity happening, especially this summer. Major construction, there's a lot of deferred maintenance that we'll be doing this summer. But major construction is going to be the Cornelius Elementary School start, Neil Armstrong, Dilley, and Forest Grove High School. And then after working with a lot of our contractors and trying to figure out summer schedules and making sure that we can meet summer schedules to ensure staff can be back in the building before school starts, we're going to kick off spring break by doing a lot of preliminary work. We'll be in Neil Armstrong doing flooring abatement down the hallways. Dilley Elementary, they're going to start doing a little bit of stuff and setting up over spring break. We're moving the portable here at Cornelius that needs to be moved so they can start digging footings in April. And then Oak Grove Academy is going to have their security systems upgraded. They're kind of our trial test site so that we can kick off the summer and have all of the kinks worked out. So we'll be doing Oak Grove Academy's camera and safety security system over spring break. So it's exciting to be able to see some of this stuff actually starting to happen while kids aren't in school. So, okay. Project-specific reports. Now, if you guys want to follow along on your sheets, we have a project-specific report for every one of our projects that were on that last page. And so John and I are going to tag team and go through these one at a time. Please feel free to ask questions as we go through. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll start right here at Cornelius Elementary School. A lot has happened at Cornelius, like Dave mentioned, pretty much day one after the bond pass, we got going and hired the architect. Then we hired Pence Construction. I think we talked about last time, but a CMGC, which is construction manager, general contractor, where we bring them on board early and they're involved during the design process. As design went along, they were giving us cost estimates because on a job that big, we want to make sure that when we get to the end that we end up with a design that we can afford for our budget. So now we're at the point where our bidding has completed. You can see we got a couple of blues in there. Pre-design's complete. One more slide, I guess. There we go. Pre-design is complete and design is complete. Now we're land use. We're mostly complete with the land use process. We were approved by the city a while ago. We have a couple small land use pieces we still need to do. Basically, to build back, we're going to demolish this building up to a point. We need to go back to the city and just kind of show them what it's going to look like when we build it back and leave this portion of the building. And then going through a process to basically delineate this lot as a separate lot on the corner here. But the exciting part is the bid process. So we went out, solicited lots of bids. The great I think, thing for y'all to know is that it's a really good time to bid right now as an owner. About 4 or 5 years ago, 3, 4 years ago, was a terrible time to be bidding. And, you know, lumber prices were crazy. Well, we're now at a point where we're just seeing a lot of sub bids. So at Cornelius, we got, I think, over 200 sub bids that we saw come in. So right now, Pence is in the process of reviewing all those bids, giving us, we call them LOAs, letter of authorization, to get approval for each package. So we're going to spend the next month or so working through all those, really dialing in where our contracts can end up, but we're trending really well and on budget. Permits are working their way through. We're probably about 2 weeks away from getting our DEQ erosion control permit. That's the 1200C permit. And so like Eileen mentioned, we'll be moving the modular out of the way over spring break. And then as soon as that 1200C DEQ permit is approved, probably within a couple of days, the city will give us our grading permit. You'll start seeing our earth work start out there. Not too long after that, we'll work on getting, there's a lot of permitting agencies involved with this. We have ODOT out on Adair. We have DEQ because of erosion control. Clean Water Services looks at it. City of Cornelius, City of Forest Grove actually does all the building and fire life safety review. I'm sure I'm missing, oh no, Washington County Electrical. We did get that permit. So it's quite a process to get permits here. But we're on track, and I think you're going to be seeing a lot of work get going here in the next month or two. You'll start to see, we have selected our earthwork contractor, so as soon as we have that grading permit, you'll see dirt being pushed out here. Those are kind of the highlights, but yeah, it's going to get really exciting here soon on Cornelius.
I'm not sure if we mentioned the last time we met about Cornelius and this area of the building staying. We are looking at, we're going to separate the buildings so that the cafeteria, the office, and the gym stay. And we're working with the city with negotiations on selling this space to the city of Cornelius for a community center. So it's a win-win for both us and the community and our students for having additional spaces and resources in our community. So that's really exciting. And so hopefully that goes through. But yeah.
Okay, any questions on Cornelius? All right.
Just a general question.
Yeah.
Do contractors have to post performance bonds with these types of contracts?
They do.
Is that always just, do we always pick the insurance company? Just, is there
It has to meet certain requirements. And then we also have a builder's risk policy on top.
Okay.
Yeah, so, and on this project, Pence will have a bond, and, you know, beyond that, they have liability insurance, and like Eileen said, builder's risk, so we'll be well insured for this, for sure. Okay, the next project, NAMS and TMC Tom Gym and Athletics. So the Neil Armstrong track is complete. Drove by it earlier, looks great. Tom McCall track, it has been replaced. I think all we have left is some spring reseeding of the field. The gym floor at Tom McCall East was replaced, and that is complete. And we're working on the turf field budgeting, right?
Right. So this part, after completing the NAMS track and the Tom McCall track and the gym floor, we were able to look at remaining budget and try to look at what the goals are of the budget for the bond for this area. And with Neil Armstrong, we have a commitment in the bond to make sure that we're maintaining and ensuring adequate spaces for PE, so we can meet our PE minutes, and to have increase our instructional space for students, all students. And so one of the things that we're looking at, we are moving forward with, not just looking at, is installing a turf field over at Neil Armstrong this summer. So that will help provide more spaces for students during the school day, for instruction, for recess, well, lunch, and opportunities for kids all year round, not only at Neil Armstrong, but for the whole community. And so it does put us a little bit over budget by 42,000, but we are okay with that. We're going to be doing a budget transfer from the contingency to cover the difference. So that will be going to the board in April for us to be able to do the turf field at Neil Armstrong. Any questions on the turf field? Because that is not part of the original bond scope, but it is an added benefit because of the savings from the other projects.
No questions. It's funny, somebody has a daughter who plays lacrosse. Like, yes, please. It's real money, real fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, everywhere else, yeah.
We definitely have a lack of athletic fields during the winter, for sure.
Eileen,
So, yeah.
I just sent you a link for some lighting grants, and they actually have some meetings just coming up to learn more about those grants. And you have to be middle school or high school, I think, to qualify for that one. So should and
Okay, I'll definitely look at that. Lighting this turf field is not in this proposal, so it still would not be late, so after hours. But definitely any grants or anything that we can do to increase the scope there. Definitely interested in looking at it, so thank you.
Hey, Chris, is this the Nike lighting grant, or is this a different one?
no, this is for lighting. The Nike grant was that was for turf fields, but they've changed the way they do that. They do like a community-based thing, and it doesn't look like they take applications anymore for that.
Okay.
But there's some other ones. David mentioned to me earlier this week, we talked a little bit about the opportunities for some of the grants, like for the Oregon Youth Soccer Association. I'm on the executive board for that. And they have a foundation where they'll do matching funds for turf fields, because we know, especially in this area, the inventory is really low, and so they have a certain amount of money for that. And then there's a couple other partners too that I know would be interested in helping with any turf fields that the district would put up, as long as they have like a soccer partner. And usually that's the way OYSA will do it. But there's a couple other for some matching funds.
Perfect. Thanks, Chris.
Okay, so moving on to Neil Armstrong Middle School. So sort of similar timeline to Cornelius, where design wrapped up, and I guess just to back up, we brought on, this is probably the only other project we'll do CMGC, where we brought the general contractor on early because it's a complex phase project. And so 5-Star Builders was hired, and we completed all the design, and bids came in this last month. So we are in the process of reviewing all those bids and working through that. Also is tracking on budget. And we're in for permitting. We did put a caution there, just we're through the permit process, found out we needed a geotech report. So we've got that. I think we'll be able to work through that, though. We know how to kind of work with the city and pave the way to do the work we need to do. That just draws our attention to that, make sure we stay focused on that. And then we are gonna be in their spring break, doing a little bit of abatement work, asbestos abatement removal, flooring, just so that when summer comes, it's such a, we call it 10-week wonder, when you have to do work in the summer, start and be done by the time teachers come back. I feel like sometimes it's gone to 9 weeks lately, but so anything we can do to get done ahead of time, like abatement, we'll usually look at that, because if on June 17th, the first thing we do is asbestos abatement, do the work, then you gotta wait for the air clearances. You can be like 10 days to 2 weeks before you start construction. That's 2 year, 10 weeks you've lost. So that's why, if it's a really tight schedule, we'll do that. So that's what we're doing at NAMS in a couple of key areas. And then this summer we'll really start, since we have the office move that we're doing this summer. That's all part of that project. And then it will be going on for really the next year after that.
Do you want to
As we
explain
work
the
through-
phases, this summer and then the school year work and then next summer work?
Sure. So this summer, we're really swapping the office, because when you go into that building, you're nowhere close to you don't know where the office is. The office can't see the front door, so it's all, I think, on camera right now. So we're gonna swap, so the office, when you come in, is actually tied to a vestibule that we're gonna create. So it's gonna be better for security, sight lines. It's gonna, basically force people with access control. We can guide people into the office, more like a modern school design. If you look at the design of this from Google Earth, it has something to do with Neil Armstrong's landing pad or something. So it's not a typical design. So by putting the office up front, which we're going to do this summer, that'll kind of be a huge improvement there. We'll get the security vestibule in, and we will, I think, just do a little bit of seismic, but really we're waiting on the seismic, because a key point there is we've applied for seismic grants on 3 projects. This is the biggest of the 3 that we're really hoping we get that grant. It's $2.5 million that would go towards the project. We budgeted based on we won't get it, if we get it, it's great news. The site, we're then looking at, okay, what work can we do during the year and not disrupt school? So I think that's mainly the perimeter wall tie-in work. And then the 3rd phase is covered play area, correct?
The covered play is summer one.
Summer 1, okay.
And then the 3rd phase is inside the building. Several of the classroom walls need footings underneath. So we're gonna take out the walls, put footings, put the walls back in. So that'll be summer 2 for phase 3.
Okay, so yeah, it really kind of hinges on around that seismic grant. And so the 3 that we applied for were Harvey Clark, Echo Shaw, and Neil Armstrong. So, but yeah, exciting times for sure for Neil Armstrong, and that'll get going here. Any questions on NIMS?
What, the geotech permit, worst case scenario, what happens if it takes longer? Would you not be able to start right away in the summer, or?
It wouldn't affect any of the office moves.
Okay.
So it would just potentially affect kind of the start of some of that seismic, which we're a little more flexible on anyway. We have that work going through the whole year, potentially in the falling.
Okay.
So we've given ourselves a little more flexibility there, because part of the seismic grant is you can't spend that money before you have the grant. That's going to get reimbursed. So we're,
So you're waiting anyway?
Yeah, for the
Just to
majority.
see
of
if
that.
you can.
Yeah, exactly.
Our first focus is gonna be that entry vestibule.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Technology projects. We have 3 different major projects within the technology scope. The first one is the classroom instructional technology. That one, the tech committee completed the instructional tech process on what they want instructional classroom to look like in the future. There are currently 10 classrooms that are piloting the new technology. 20 more will be implemented by the end of April. And then technology is working on an internal audit of all of the classrooms to find out what is the technology that's in all the classrooms, what needs to be upgraded, what's the lifespan of it, to be able to then prioritize which buildings go first. And so once we get the pilots done and once the kind of internal audit is done, they'll be able to look at that and complete a schedule for priority 1, summer 1, for implementation of the new technology for classrooms. The second one is the dark fiber across the district. We finished the RFP process for that already. We're working on contract negotiations and scheduling that. The goal is for that to begin in June and go through next summer. So, and this would get us dark fiber across the entire district, even up to Gales Creek and Gilly. The third one is the network infrastructure and storage. Some of the servers have already been purchased. We have scheduled to purchase the network infrastructure, the switches and the wireless devices this coming summer. And those and the dark fiber will both apply for E-rate grants and potentially have a significant amount of both of those expenditures reimbursed. That would then give us more capacity to do more with the instructional technology piece. So that's where we are with those 3. Did I miss anything, Enrique?
I think we just need to explain dark fiber. So so currently we use Comcast as our internet provider. And if I say something wrong, jump in because Enrique is the expert here. Dark fiber would allow us to basically put our own switching equipment on the ends, and then we would still need an internet provider, but currently we pay like $20,000 a month, and our payments, once the dark fiber is in and we put our own equipment on there, would be $2,000, $4,000 a month. And so it drastically decreases the amount of money that we're paying somebody else to do something. And then when we upgrade, we don't have to change the fiber. All we do is put new switches on the ends of them. So we're also kind of future proofing and now, like the internet, our schools barely run anymore. I mean, our doors, our security, our, obviously the attendance and all of those, but like everything is tied into. So this dark fiber also has multiple points. So like if there's a crash in place that takes that fiber down, we can still get out through another path. So we'll have more uptime. How'd I do?
No, that sounds great. And we'll be partnering with our ESD and neighboring school districts. And those will be where we'll have kind of our redundancy because the ESD has already worked with neighboring school districts and municipalities to build a fiber ring. So we'll be connecting into the Hillsborough School District and then potentially connecting into Tillamook, potentially Banks and Gaston. So we'll have multiple places where traffic can pass, like Dave was saying, it just builds in the kind of the redundancy should there be like a fiber cut somewhere. And also the capacity. The capacity then is just limited by the optics that we place at our endpoints. So we can work with our partners. If the ESD can add us more capacity, we simply change out the equipment in our closets and then we'll work with greater capacity where we need it.
Sorry,
No, I'm glad.
That's good.
Safety and security.
Okay, I'll start off just an update on our cell and DAS. And similarly, if you see an acronym or hear an acronym that you don't know, just raise your hands because we use a lot of them in construction.
Oh, what is DAS?
Distributed antenna system. So really that's the ability of emergency responders to go in a building and be able to communicate. And so one of the first things we did was survey all of our buildings, and the DAS, really the only building that had an issue was the high school. And so we got proposals for that and have awarded that work today, wireless. And they're proceeding on that and the cell work, and that's scheduled to be complete by June. So the other piece on this is we're getting quotes for all the little acronyms you see there in the schools: Dilley, Echo Shop, Fern Hill, Tom McCall, District Office, Tom McCall West, and Gales Creek. We went and surveyed all the sites for cell as well, and they had particularly bad cell coverage. So we're getting quotes to boost the cell, basically at those sites. So we will be getting those quotes shortly and proceeding with that, with those improvements as well. ADA buttons, that work is complete. And just adding ADA door hardware buttons to those sites there. Security system, I think we mentioned last meeting that we brought on board Convergent as our contractor to do that work. So they are going to be getting started on Gales Creek over spring break. And
This summer is going to be Forest Grove High School, NAMS, and Dilley. So we'll do all three of those buildings to get their systems upgraded. Just to back up a quick second, I just looked at it. So for the cell upgrades, what we were looking at if we were to do all carriers or just certain carriers for the buildings to upgrade the cell service. And we're only choosing to do Verizon and AT&T. T-Mobile and Sprint, we will not be doing the upgrade and making sure that there's repeaters in the buildings for those. After doing a survey of all of our staff and people that are in the buildings, primarily it was Verizon and AT&T on where the need was, on where they were feeling the shortages were. To go up to all, it was a significant increase in the rate. And so we chose to just go with the two because that's what we heard from our surveys.
And similarly, we got Pat Hess back here, who's our security guru. He's working on doing a lot of work on this stuff. But so if you need to add anything, Pat, feel free. But security film, we are getting quotes for that to just add protective film at the majority of the entries. I think it's all the entries, right, Pat? And it's not like a bulletproof scenario, but it just prevents it from just shattering, all at once. Holds that in place. So we are working on that, and I think we're close to selecting a couple vendors to do that. And
We did, it'll be coming out in the next couple of weeks to give us direct quotes on all the buildings. We're working for that. Shouldn't get that done this summer.
great, and then exterior, you want to update that one?
Yeah, Pat is actually working pretty hard on getting all of our fencing quotes in and making sure that all of our school grounds are fully secure and making sure that there's fencing around so that not only to keep students in, but to keep people from coming onto the playgrounds and play spaces during school hours. And so he's working on finding those spaces and prioritizing which buildings need additional fencing around it. Tom calls the hardest one just because it's between the two buildings and out there on the street. So that one I think might be on hold a little bit longer, but the rest of them will have upgraded this summer. Neil Armstrong, we're even looking at putting fencing around the whole backfield so that kids can be out there during PE, during recess, and feel safe. And then as far as the overhead costs, that one is really just the SEPTED survey and what pushed that one over. So we did a security SEPTED survey last spring, and that's helping guide us in the security improvements. Taylor White, This one has really just deferred maintenance. There's some parking abatement, carpet, HVAC, and some miscellaneous repairs. For the most part, the parking is done, the carpet is done, the abatement is almost done, and the last piece this summer is we'll replace one of the garage doors. It does have a little bit of HVAC in there that will also be done this summer, so I see Taylor Way being completed by the end of this summer. We're on track and on budget for that one too. Looking at HVAC projects, this one, we were able to complete several of them. Well, I guess it shows one of them was completed. We've been going to the board a lot over the last few months on getting all of our HVAC stuff ready and the contracts approved for summer work. So this next summer, we are excited because we're braiding funds between our bond HVAC funds and our remaining ESSER funds that we have that have to be spent by September of this year, and trying to do more with what we have. Last year, we trialed out a new air conditioning system at Echo Shaw. We have some learnings from that, but with this budget and the ESSER budget, we are looking at taking Gills Creek, Dilly, Harvey Clark, and adding air conditioning to all of those buildings. Tom East and West and Fern Hill is also going to have air conditioning and improved HVAC. So after this, we should have at least air conditioning in the classroom spaces at all of our buildings. It'll help support when the heat turns up in May and June every once in a while, and then when it lasts longer in September and October. It also ensures that we're able to provide summer school opportunities the best that we can all summer long. Right now, we have summer school at the high school at Neil Armstrong, at Echo Shaw. We've had summer school, well, we have it at Joseph Gale. But right now, we're kind of bursting at the seams. So with spaces that are air conditioned and spaces that people actually want to be in, this will provide more opportunities. Overall, these HVAC projects will be completed between this summer and next summer. Right now, we're feeling pretty good about where we are on budget, primarily because we're using ESSER funds for a lot to be able to do more. Okay. District roofing projects. We completed several of these. We actually completed several of these last summer. Forest Grove High School, the peeling paint on the roof and the peeling paint on the walls. And then Forest Grove High School's clinic, we already have those quotes in, the POs are ready to go, so those will happen this coming summer. And then Harvey Clark, we're holding those funds for summer of 2025, and we'll do that when we do the Harvey Clark project. So we'll combine those budgets and do that together, the seismic work and the roofing work. Because the seismic work at that building will impact the roof. Then the last one is under reserves. That one, we are looking at taking the reserves plus some more and doing the roof at Dilly. But the Dilly project, when we get to it, there's funds available that will cover this overage. So we're gonna go ahead and do those two projects at the same time this summer. So Dilly is only impacted one summer. District-wide pre-K capacity building. This one we've kind of put on hold, and we will start planning in the fall of 2024. So that one's just on hold for now. Seismic projects. This one, you won't see this page again because this is the one that I moved all of the budgets to the individual buildings. So the seismic budget will go away. Oak Grove Academy, a lot of the things at Oak Grove is deferred maintenance. So it's smaller projects, pieces here and there. Our facilities team is going to take care of a lot of that this summer and next summer. They have that list. And so our facilities team will start scheduling those things out for this summer and next. We haven't started any of it though. And then the same with Tomahawk West, which is next. Our facilities team will be doing a lot of the deferred maintenance. It's just a lot of smaller smaller projects. Nothing of substantial to bring a contractor in to do the full scope.
How does that work with, when we internalize it with our facilities team and we have a budget item? Is that, we've got facilities folks on payroll, obviously there's a materials portion. How does
They'll subcontract a lot of it, you know, so if it's replacing a door, they'll hire a contractor to come and replace the door. We did hire, and you'll see on the very last page under our contingency budget, that we did hire a 1.0 facilities individual to help manage a lot of these projects. He's also an HVAC expert, so he's gonna help manage a lot of the HVAC work and do a lot of it himself. So the Dilly, Gills Creek, and Harvey Clark air conditioning, he's gonna be doing a lot of that. But because he's kind of hitting all of the projects, he's under the contingency piece. So we'll see savings everywhere else and just the expenditure there. But we did hire an additional facilities guy to help us through all of this because our team's spread pretty thin right now.
and then like those facility folks, payroll gets kind of allocated out among projects, it shows up on our.
I'm not gonna allocate it between projects, it's just gonna show his expenditure under contingency, just because it's probably not worth our time to find out, how many minutes or hours he's working on a roof versus an HVAC at one building versus another. So we're just gonna put it under contingency and, knowing that he's gonna help support a lot of different areas, yeah. Great questions.
Okay, Echo Shaw Elementary, we started a little extra early on this project and Harvey Clark, just because kind of the way we see the market with things taking longer to get in order. We're just starting to trend getting the architect on board earlier. So we are working with BBL Architects on Echo Shaw, and we have completed the pre-design work. It was over Christmas break, actually. We were in there walking that school and with the architect and their engineers, reviewing all the bond scopes. So now we're to the point where we're seeing kind of proposed scopes of work based on the site investigations and the bond scope. And so we'll be reviewing the cost estimates that we get during this phase and kind of comparing that with our budget and aligning those as necessary. So that's kind of the phase we're at now, is in design and cost estimating. The project here really is mainly a seismic upgrade project. Like we said, this one went in for seismic grant. So we'll find out in June if that were to get awarded. If it doesn't, we can consider applying again with this one. So we'll see. Otherwise, we're looking at some siding. We're kind of looking at the windows related to this project as well, and then some exterior door hardware work as well. Let's see, next one, Harvey Clark is really similar, on a similar timeline. We're kind of doing these two in tandem with the same architect. And so really same update there. We did all the pre-design site investigation work with the architect and the engineers. We're reviewing the early scope and estimating here. It's gone in for the seismic grant. We'll be reviewing the scope and kind of clarifying that. And then we will move into the next phase of design once we feel comfortable with the scope. So pretty early, but you know, this project is not set to start until summer of 2025. Same thing with Echo Shaw. Next up, Forest High School.
So Forest Grove High School is similar to the other deferred maintenance ones. We pulled out of Forest Grove High School the CTE portion, so Forest Grove High School deferred maintenance, and then we have Forest Grove High School CTE, which we'll talk about next. So if we're just looking at the high school deferred maintenance items, There's some interior repairs, some electrical work, some fire system work. Those are gonna be handled by our facilities team again. The Forest Grove High School track resurface is being handled by our facilities team, but we already have a PO ready to go. It goes to the board at the next board meeting. So we're moving forward with resurfacing the track this coming summer as part of the bond work. That's the athletic repairs piece of the scope of work. And then I think they've already done some, so they've already done the restroom fixture replacements and office carpet replacements. So they've already started on some of it. They'll just keep working through all of the different maintenance lists. And what they're doing is just about the facilities team, like they're looking at, okay, which buildings have fire system repairs? Okay, let's target that and do all of those. So these buildings that facilities is working on, we're not gonna see all of it done in, 2 months. We're gonna see all the fire systems done. We're gonna see all of the athletic pieces done. We're gonna see, the electrical done, because they're gonna start grouping those. And so they can have one contractor out doing those items. So it's not as tedious of having to go out and get 3 quotes for this and then 3 quotes for this, and then do it all over again at the next building. So they're gonna do that work just a little bit differently than the major projects. Okay.
The next project, Forest Grove High School CTE addition. And what that is a early childhood addition for early childhood education. So we have bid that out. We got bids, it was last week. And we will be taking that to the board on 8th of April for approval. So we will, pending board approval, get going, kick that project off with that contractor, and set to start work on June 17th, right after school's out. This project will go through about the middle of November. But basically we're building an addition right off the science wing, kind of the backside of the school. It includes, it's kind of a half, of a area where the high school students can be, and then the other half where the kiddos can be. So I think to Dave to kind of explain.
And that's what I was just gonna do. So one of the issues we have right now is around staffing, getting teachers and educational professionals. We used to have a program like we have, the Viking House, and we have different career technical pathways. Well, the one pathway that went away is this education pathway. We had a space in the high school for our pre-K students. It's located between the metal shop and the wood shop. It's not a great space for that pathway. So what the bond is, part of the bond is building a educational CTE space. It'll be where kids come, high school kids come and go through several different courses to gain the knowledge. And again, for us, what we're trying to do is get more of our students coming back and getting involved in education. Just trying to get them a head start on that. It'll also be a space for our community. They will host pre-K. And so there'll be a pre-K there, so parents can get their kids. It'll probably be a half-day pre-K, but we still have some planning to do around that part of it. But that's the reasoning for it, is for us to open up this new CTE pathway education that we currently don't have. We also have a teen parent space, and we don't have many teen parents. That has continued to go down over the years. In the 90s and in the 2000s, we would have 6 to 7 teen parents. Typically now we're in the 1 or 2, but still by law, we need to prepare. We need to provide them a space to be able to go to school and for their kids to be cared for. So we also take care of that situation in this remodel too, is the whole teen parent space gets reworked too. I think I hit it.
Perfect.
Questions though?
So the kids in the pre-K space will be just community members at large.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be, in most of the high schools, it'll be Little Spartans, or it'll be the Little Vikes. And it's, we still have to kind of put together exactly what that program looks like. We do all of our other pre-Ks are full day, but this one, because of the high school kids, I'm not sure what that will look like. It might be 2 half days, so that we have different sets of kids coming in. I'm not sure yet. We have to kind of figure that part of the programming out.
I think the goal would be, the construction and everything would be done during first semester, so second semester they can start utilizing that space. Sure.
Okay, next project, Dilly Elementary. So you can see we're through design and bidding. So we received bids and it was awarded the low bidder, 5-star builders, local general contractor out of Banks. Also the contractor being Neil Armstrong. So we are in for permits, Washington County right now. And really this is mainly a seismic upgrade project. We're going to be removing siding from around the building, adding plywood and shear capacity, so to give it more stiffness in an earthquake. And the benefit of that is we're going to put out new siding. A lot of the siding was deteriorated. We'll deal with any dry rot or any issues we find along the way. And then we were able to get a bid alternate to see how much more it would be to just paint the rest of the building rather than just those little pieces. It wasn't all that much more, and it was within our budget. Actually, I didn't mention that, but the bids came in. I think we only got 2 bids on this one, but the low bid was under our budget. So we had the ability to add some alternates that we had put in there. And we'll do bid alternates if we're not quite sure if we can afford them, but then if we have a good bid day, we can review, well, can we paint the rest of the building? It's only $25,000 to just paint the rest of it, and we're under budget. So in this case, we are doing that. So it's going to be a nice visual improvement to Dilly that sometimes when these seismic upgrades, you don't really see it, even though we're making the building safer. Here, you'll also see a new building and some new signage there.
I think the other exciting thing about Dilly's seismic upgrades is it's allowing us not only to do kind of an exterior refresh, but it'll have a new sign out front so people will actually know which one is, well, hopefully it'll help guide people to know which is the actual front entrance of that building. And then the interior hallways have to have some seismic structure added to them. So we're going to be repainting all of the interior hallways and redoing the wainscot and then the bulletin boards. So as you walk into that building, at least in the hallways, it's going to look like it's got that refresh.
Yeah, it'll be really nice. That's it for that portion of the building project.
I did want to point out real quick, back there we go, here. 636,000 right now. We still have expenditures and unknowns that we don't have in here, and there's still some permit fees and stuff that we don't have committed yet. But that's where any savings that we have here will be able to help support that excess on the roof. So I just wanted to note that that's where we're looking at here. Tomahawk East, we've already done the parking lot repair summer of last year, and Tomahawk East is going to be just like those other facility projects that we were talking about. There's not a significant amount of work at that building. So summer of 24 and summer of 25. Same with Fern Hill, we have nothing to report for that. Our target is really summer of 25 for Fern Hill. And same with Joseph Hill. Custodial and nutrition equipment, we have that equipment broken out into 3 phases for purchasing, and we have already the PO and board approval for the first phase that will be installed over summer. And then we'll do the next 2 phases, the next 2 summers. So we're already on track with that and we're ready to go. Equipment is all ordered. Central office, again, that's the same, some deferred maintenance. The one thing that is done there is oh, that was on the HVAC. I was gonna say central office got a new boiler, but that's on the HVAC page. So the rest of everything at the central office is deferred maintenance and will be along with the other schedules. And then the last one we have is really that contingency budget, that collect all of things that we didn't build into the original bond budget, but we knew we would have interest, we knew we would have additional resources to be able to support. And so the expenditures there haven't changed significantly since we met in December. What the 2 things that have, or I'm not sure if they were on the report in December, is the facilities FTE is on here, and so is a bond account halftime to help us with all of the processing of invoices and getting all of our documentation right for prevailing wage and all the requirements that are necessary for bond funds. So you have a 0.5 FTE for a bond accountant and a 1.0 maintenance FTE included in here. The last line here is the playground repair. We are going to be taking playground budgets out of the building budgets. So Dilly, Harvey Clark, Gills Creek, Echo Shaw, there's playground repair funds. And so we're gonna take those out and do those separately outside of a general contractor contract and do those as one single project. And so those funds, the next time we meet, will have their own sheet. Once they have their own sheet, then I'll push the repair costs that we've already spent into that. But right now I just have it there as a placeholder because we've spent the funds. Any questions on all of this stuff? There's a lot of information.
Is the maintenance FTE, you hired a person?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Are they just for the bond or will they continue on after?
Just for the bond.
Just for the bond?
Yeah, for now.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Discussions to be had.
Discussions
Yeah.
for future, but yeah, for the next 3 years, it would be in the bond.
Yeah.
The cost in here for both the FTE is just between the hire date and June 30th.
Mm-hmm.
So what we have committed, and then next year when it rolls, we'll add the new year costs and encumbrance in there. So right now, it's just the costs between the hire date and June 30th for both of those.
And the more work that we can, again, that we're not paying a markup on, the more we're making this money go, the farther it's going. And so, again, I mean, we've got the seismic grants in. Chris has talked to us about a lighting grant farther. The bond was for 129 and you're at 139 million, and we're still working on pulling in more grants. I'm really pleased at that. I think we're getting a lot for our money.
I have a question for Eileen and maybe for you too, Dave. So there's a tremendous amount of construction. And so is there anyone are we going to add any FTE to help and support Eileen? Because, you know, she has her day job, but then there's all of this construction, and that's a lot.
I mean, hiring the halftime bond accountant was essential for my department for sure. But right now, I mean, yes, it is a lot, but right now I'm very fortunate to have a really strong business office and a strong accounting team that's able to help take a little bit of the lead of the finance side right now. So that's been really helpful for me.
So she's being very humble because it is a lot of work. The hiring of the maintenance FTE and the hiring of the bond accounting is really, again, trying to put some folks who can focus on some different projects and let Eileen do what she does really well, which is this the management of these financial pieces. So I think it's,
And we have Cornerstone, we have John here
Right.
and Emil that are doing a big lift, so.
but certainly we need to continue to watch that because it is a lot, but we are getting a lot. I mean, there's just, over $10 million of extra funds have now funneled into this process. And so it is, and it's because of the work that they're doing and the choices that they're making of when we're doing the work or when we're gonna give it to a contractor, when Cornerstone is working with it. Those are all big decisions that have, that save money, but it creates issues with time. And I think we're all worried, not only Eileen certainly, but everyone involved with this. It's a lot of work, so.
Yeah, I don't want us, I don't want us to lose Eileen in all this construction. So, we need to make sure that Eileen, that you speak up if you need extra help. And I know you do an outstanding job, but I think that's important. The second question I have for you, Dave, is when they were building Patterson in Hillsborough, I was working in the district at that time, and Leanna Jeffords, she had they assigned an extra person to help navigate that because it was not only taking care of her job as principal, but then she also had this other hat she had to wear to coordinate. So are we going to give some assistance to a dean at Cornelius to help Angela?
So we're talking about that. I don't think we currently, we're managing, we're moving okay. But certainly another thing for us to watch, especially as we start to get into the construction and over the next year. So that's another one that we just need to continue to watch. I don't think it's been overwhelming yet, but something for us to continue to watch.
Yeah, I think we need to bring it up in budget and look at it because there's almost 400 kids there, plus there's the two pre-K programs, and we all know that the children still have challenges, and so I just want us to make sure that people that are doing a good job, that they have the support they need so they can continue to do a good job. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Your boy caught us I have something else to say. Okay, so that is all on this report. We want to go back to the slide deck.
So on Wednesday, April 3rd, we're going to have the Cornelius ribbon cutting. So there'll be the Cornelius city manager will be coming out. I'll do some words. We'll kind of dip the shovels in and kind of kick this project off with a bang. So we wanted to invite all of you. It's going to be at 3:45 right out on the field here. And like I said, there'll be some pictures and some things going on. It's kind of the start of this project. So it'll be here. Just want to invite you to it.
I think David Warner is going to be sending you guys personal invitations to here soon via email. So look out for those.
But you're all invited. Come and enjoy.
All right, and then the last one. Just any final questions that you guys have, or now that you've been through a few of these meetings, is there additional information you guys would like to see in the future or changes in information? How do you guys feel about the data that you guys are getting?
It's a lot of information, but we personally feel like it gives a really good overview of where we are and what's going on. I was in here last time. I really liked the first time. This one, that have this color coded individually when we were doing it. Like something like that is useful, I feel like, when you can see it in one page.
Okay.
It's like, this is the phase one, this is the phase two, December 2024, summer 2025, 26. I think something like that would be useful.
Okay, we can bring that back, sure.
Who came up with the reports. I think this is great, to follow through, just going through each project quickly. It's easy for me to get through the cycle, so I appreciate your guys' time putting that together. Thank you all out.
And if we were really excited, wanted to read a contract or a bid, a lot of that information's on the district website.
Contracts and bids aren't on the district website. We have our RFP listing on the district website, but it's all public information. So if you wanted to see something in particular, definitely just reach out to me or Jen. We kind of house all of that. So if there's something that you're really interested in and, you know, some reading materials, definitely don't hesitate to reach out to us. Yeah. Okay. The next, the annual board report. Chris, are you still online?
Yeah, I mean,
All right, I'm gonna reach out to you to schedule something right after spring break for us to do that annual board report. Our hope would be to present it on April 22nd.
okay,
And then,
great, yeah.
okay, and then the idea, I think, would be for Chris and I to develop it, Chris to put the comments of the Bond Oversight Committee on it, and then probably send it out to you guys as a team and see if you guys have any feedback for it. Once you guys review it, then Chris can present it to the board.
That sounds great. I'll be back from Spain right then, so that'll work out just great.
Perfect, okay. And then if you guys have any particular comments that you want him to incorporate into that report, definitely reach out to him. I think his email is in the calendar invite. So reach out to him and let him know what the specifics are that you want in there. Because I really want this to be a report from you guys, not from me, but from you guys on what you guys are seeing for the bond oversight.
But it's nothing we have to get together and vote on.
No, I think between Chris and I, we can draft, because we'll go over like the financial, what you guys are seeing here tonight. But that, first couple of paragraphs on the assessment, that really should be from you guys. So, but Chris can definitely send that to you for feedback. Next meeting is June 12th, and then determine a location. Where would you guys like to meet?
What kind of projects will be going on during that time?
I think June 12th, it's gonna be before all of the summer kickoff happens. You're gonna see dirt work happening here and probably footings and stuff come in. The other thing we would see is like the abatement work that happens over spring break at Neil Armstrong. I think the turf field at Neil Armstrong will start before school's out. So if you're looking for seeing stuff, it would be either here or Neil Armstrong.
I think NAMS, because then I want to make sure I get a before and after of the vestibule.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I want to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, NAMS would be great.
Yeah, okay. Neil Armstrong? All right. And then that is all we had. You guys had anything else for us?
That's it. All right. Adjourn this meeting at 6:44.
Perfect.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Kate.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.